student C. All right, I am so glad you were here to come in with me, and we are going to go over your report. All right, so when you receive your report, as you have, I want you to see at the top kind of my main overall comment. So what I did, and I'll summarize this, is I went through each part and I gave you feedback on each part of what I would like you to improve. I can see you did a lot of work, and I'm so happy that you sat and you did this report and you really kind of jumped into what you needed to do, and I am proud of you. I just said there are some things that I want to improve on, and I'll show you where you're at in the rubric right now, and then I'm going to give you time to kind of I'll give you time to work on it and resubmit. Now, as you go through, there are a lot of comments in blue, and those are things that I've written, but I don't want you to look at the whole big picture. Let's just work on one tiny bit at a time and work on some of the verbiage. I would prefer your learning coach to be here with you, and that way we can kind of all work together on making this an amazing report. All right, so let's begin right here where it says the question. So what it is asking is, we need a question. Why are you doing this experiment in the first place? So that is the question you are trying to ask. What kind of question we talk about in class, or was the purpose that we did this? So that's how experiments come along. So you bring them, you have a question, and then you make a guess, which is your hypothesis, and then you actually complete the experiment, and we'll see if we answered that question. So in here, first, will recycling impact on trash? So this is really close. So let's first work on making this a complete sentence. Watch your grammar, capitalization, punctuation, like your question marks and things like that. And we can set this up as, will recycling impact on trash? So will who recycles? Who's going to be recycling? So let's start with that. So then let's move on. Your hypothesis. So this is I would like this in an if-then statement. So what that means is, I did an example here. If I get more sleep tonight, then I will not be as tired tomorrow. So this is the if and then the then. So I'm trying not to be as tired tomorrow. So if I get more sleep, will that work? So this is what we're trying to do. All right, so you said yes, so I can see that you think that recycling will have an impact on the amount of trash, which is good. But can you put this in a statement? If you do something, then what will happen? Okay, that's your hypothesis. All right, so again, I want you to think about these in just little chunks. Don't go into one big thing. This is just little things. We're going to make it bigger. All right? So materials, this is a great list. I can't think of really any more materials that you need. The only thing I would need you to do is, let's be more specific with numbers. So maybe a bunch of, so when you tell me a bunch of trash, I don't necessarily know how much you're talking about. So it's kind of like me sending you to the store and saying, I need you to get me a bunch of water bottles. You're not really sure how much I want, so I needed to be more specific, and if I were to repeat this experiment, I need to know kind of exactly how many trash bags you counted, how many recycling bins did you have, how many family members you have, things like that. So tell me exactly what you did, okay? The other thing I noticed is when you say the trash, is it just you? Is it your family? Like, where did this trash come from? Again, so I'm going to repeat this experiment in my own home. So I want to make sure I get the exact same numbers that you have. All right. So for the procedure, count the bags of trash each week. So let's talk about them. Can you tell me when you counted them? Did you count them in the morning? Did you count them as you took them outside to the trash bin? Did you just count them all at the end of the week before you put the trash bin out? How did you count them? Again, kind of keep that mindset is, I'm going to repeat this exactly, kind of like a list of instructions to build something. So if I don't have specific details, I'm not going to get the same result you did. So I want to be able to. Okay, recycled plastic, paper, and glass stuff. So I would like you, that word stuff, I know it's a common word we use, but in a formal presentation, we want to be more specific than stuff. So tell me you either don't need it, because I understand what you mean by you recycle plastic, paper, and glass. But you can, so you either don't need the word stuff, or tell me kind of an example of what you mean. Plastic what? Paper what? Glass what? All right, counted the trash bags again when you recycled. Okay, so for how long? How long did you count the trash bags? How long did you count the trash bags after you started recycling? Again, if I were to do this experiment at home, I would like to know exactly what you did, how many times you counted, when you counted, for how many weeks. I know this seems like a lot, but again, just think about it kind of one step at a time. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You're doing really good. And completed the data sheet, so which you did. All right, variables to consider. This is good. I couldn't think of any other variables. Yeah, I think you did a very good job. The only things I would correct in here are some of your grammar. So the word kinda, that's actually not a word, and you know it's not a word because they underline it in this red squiggly. So in the Word document, if they underline it in red squiggly, that means it's not in the dictionary. It's probably a word we use a lot of. But I would either try to get rid of it or find a more formal word for this. Kind of, see, I even use the word kind of. So maybe kind of, or instead of that. Another thing, I did a variable, yes, the last thing I would think about in here, if a word is underlined in that red squiggle, either it's not a word, like the word kinda, or it's misspelled. So in order to do this, you either can review using Word, you can do a spelling check and they'll tell you what word they think you were trying to spell, or you can simply just right-click the word, it's cool about that, and it actually gives you a guess of words that you wanted to spell. So if you meant the word recycle, you can simply click that button right there, and it will change it for you to the correct spelling. Kind of cool about Word. So, same thing with this. I think you're trying to spell the word couldn't, but I wasn't sure. So it wasn't sure what you were trying to spell. So let's say you were trying to say the word couldn't, then you would just click here to fix that. So this, actually, I want you to go through the entire thing and fix some of those misspelled words. Again, it's the cool thing about Word. It does it for you, but you need to go through and make sure. All right? Your conclusion. Did your data support your hypothesis and explain? So let's talk about this. Your hypothesis way back at the top was saying, yes, you said that if you recycle, it will have an impact on trash. Okay, so let's talk about that. Yes. That's not enough explanation for me, so I see what you're saying. I do say that, yes, when you recycle, it did have an impact. What kind of impact? Okay, so your conclusion is probably going to be a good-sized paragraph. So we need to, it's kind of talk about from the beginning. I want you to restate your hypothesis. Use that if-then statement. Say, well, I thought if I did this, then this would happen. And when I used all the data, I was right, kind of thing. But we want to do a little bit more formal. So let's talk about some questions. What was your hypothesis in the beginning? You can put that in your conclusion. You're going to kind of, think of a conclusion as like if, kind of summarizing everything that happened, okay? So what numbers are you looking at your data? How in the world do you know that when you started recycling, your trash bag numbers went down? How do you know that? And you can even say things like, oh, referring to my data chart, you can see on the difference between week 2 and week 7. So that goes in your conclusion, okay? How much did your trash numbers decrease? Show me how in the world you knew this. I'm not saying you're wrong. I am saying that I need to know how you know that you recycled and it impacted your trash. All right? So this is a lot. I know. We're going to go through. And we went through. So here, this is overall what I was saying, okay? So the first thing I would focus on is spelling. I would work on your spelling correction. So because I went through your chart. Okay, so kinda, remember that's not a word, and I think you're trying to spell cooperate, but again, just right click it and it'll guess what you're thinking to say. Okay? All right, I did see, all right, so you did put in a lot of work on time. Okay? I saw that you did a lot of work on here. Some things I do want to talk to you about a little bit, okay? When you say something like this, had stupid ideas about the variables, just you might not agree with that student's ideas, or you might not think they're relevant to what we're doing, but calling someone's ideas stupid might not come off as the nicest way to go about it. So I would try saying, you can say things like you disagree and why you disagree, but you don't want to make it personal. You don't want to, kind of insult someone and make them feel bad. Okay, so we gotta work on that. And then also telling someone that they have too much to say. Sometimes people are just talkers, okay, and you just kind of have to have patience and smile and be polite. And what I did was here, this is a website you can click on that's ways to disagree with someone. So it's actually just a polite manner to go about it. And you can use these tactics either in any group project you do, work, or anything you do as a group. So if you disagree with someone, or you think they're grumpy, or you don't like that they talk a lot, you might just have to kind of just absorb it and smile and just be supportive, even if you might not agree. All right? So you don't have to fix this. This is not what I'm asking you to fix. I would go ahead and fix some spelling mistakes, but this was your personal opinion, so that's perfectly okay. Again, just fix the spelling mistakes. All right, so this is where you're at. So we use these rubrics. So let me show you where you're at. You want to be in the 4s, okay? That's a perfect score. That's what we want. You're almost there in some of them, and some of them you have some room to do. So for your hypothesis, you did give me a hypothesis. You said that recycling is going to impact trash, but it wasn't in that if-then statement. So that is why you're in the 2 category, okay? You can fix it, put it in the if-then statement, and then those numbers would increase. All right, materials and methods. We did talk about this. Your materials were mentioned, and your steps are pretty easy to follow. I just want them to be more detailed. More detailed. If I were to redo this experiment, I want to make sure I'm using the exact same numbers that you were and doing the exact same thing you did. So you got to make it more detailed, as if someone's going to do this without your help. All right? When it comes to your data, the data is incomplete because some of the weeks you did forget to mark. So we do want to kind of go over that. I know it's an experiment and you did forget, and that's okay, that happens. But for your going forward, you have to make sure that you're keeping up with it. All right, so if you didn't count, that we could have adjusted some things. All right, it was just an ongoing thing, and because we didn't have the amount of data, then we don't have a perfect score here. But we can go adjust some of the data and maybe get you in the 3 range. Conclusion. So the conclusion's brief. Again, your conclusion is just one word. So that is why you're in the 1 category. I think if you just answered those questions, put it in a paragraph with no misspelled words, you definitely can be in the 4 category, okay? Address your hypothesis. Talk about your numbers. All right, and then report quality. So the only reason it's in 2 is because there are several spelling and grammar errors. So what I want you to do is go through just like I taught you and try to fix those spelling and grammar errors, and this one will easily go into the 4s. All right, so it's highlighted in blue where you're at. This is the score where you're at. It can easily be improved. So you have this recording, you have us talking. I also put notes in here in blue. Again, just work on one tiny section at a time. You and your learning coach, I'm here to help. If you want to do just a couple of sections and send it to me, and then I'll give you a grade just for those, then we'll do that, and then you can work on more sections. All right? All right, well, if I am here, email me. We'll do another session in a couple of days to see how you're doing. All right? Thank you so much.